Hello and welcome back to Just for Today. Today we're going to cover the fourth step, which is made a searching and fearless moral inventory of ourselves. Now, doesn't that sound like a lot of fun, huh? Especially when we've been covering up things for so long. We've been covering up all of those faults that, that's what alcohol did. It's a paver. We just pave over those things, but we all have lumpy roads and lumpy rugs. We'll just push it under the rug. It's not really there. I'm not really that. I'll just drink and it won't, and I won't have to look at that anymore. Well, can't do that. When you get sober, what we have to do is, again, get honest with ourselves, and then we have to start to look at the things that we have done throughout our drinking career. And, those of us who are drunks and admit that, know that we've wronged other people and we've wronged ourselves in the process. Now, we can repair those relationships by looking back at those things, admitting them to ourselves and saying that was a real lousy thing to do, or that was a real ugly thing to say, or I should have went to work that day, or I, called my boss blankety blank blank because I was all hungover, or I came home and had a fight with my wife or my spouse, or who knows, whatever it is, or you didn't show up for something, or you cheated on somebody with your friend's boyfriend or something like that, and that relationship got ruined because you were drunk, or anything that you do wrong. And everybody does wrong things. The thing about alcohol is it helps to improve your ratio of doing bad things, those incidences of wrongdoing for other people. Those are the things that pile up on us, and that can add fuel to the fire. It can make us drink more, by saying, well, I feel all guilty now because I did this, so I'll drink so I don't have to feel that either. And it compounds. It's like a snowball effect. You start tumbling down the hill, and before you know it, you're at the bottom in this avalanche. And so once you stop the drinking, and we go through the first three steps, we start to look at, honestly, a good way to do it is what I did is I took out a piece of paper and I started to write down, what I thought were my faults and what the things that I had done wrong, and the things that the way I thought that my life was going wrong, and just the bad decisions that I made in my life. And I got it out all on paper, and I said, this isn't very good, but this is what my life has become. And now the process of doing the inventory allows us to get into the process of starting to clean it up, starting to look at the things and accepting those things and saying, that I realized that was pretty lousy, and I don't really want to do that anymore. I don't want to have that lousy relationship with my father. I don't want to have that lousy relationship with my your husband or my wife or anybody that you, or a best friend, that those things are the treasures, those things are the valuable things, and alcohol can blind you to the fact that you can lose those things, and that's how, when despair starts to come in, that's you don't start to see your life as being worthy anymore, or because you have these wrongs, or these downfalls, or these things that happen between you and the important things in your life, and you start to lose perspective. And that's how you can become even worse of a drunk, is by, again, it just snowballs. So what we do is we get those things out on paper. That's something that I did. You can do it however you want, but you have to start to look at the way you live in your life and saying, are the things that I'm doing making me happy, really? And I guess that if you're here, they're probably not. They're probably not going to do it for you. So, based on those types of things, what do you do with them at that point? Well, you say to yourself, well, I can go back and I can write a letter. I mean, if you going back and going back and saying to yourself, I need to change my life. I need to find a different blueprint. I need to reload the database, because the things that I have been doing have not been making my life manageable or happy or anything like that. So I think the best thing you can do is to get those things out on paper. Decide that how you want to live your life. A good way to find out a good blueprint for your life is, again, we talked about God in the last time. God has a plan for your life, and the blueprints can be in the pages of His Word, which is the Bible, and you can find a lot of what God wants for your life and the way that you should be living your life, because all the fun you've been having on your own way and the world telling you what was going to solve your problems isn't going to solve your problems. God's solution for your life will. So we need to make that searching and fearless moral inventory of ourselves. And we're going to go immediately into the next step, which is step 5, which is admitted to God and to ourselves and to another human being the exact nature of our wrongs. That's what comes from the searching and moral inventory. So what we do at that point is we admit to God, saying, hey, I did this stuff. I did it. They know I did it. There's no sense of me hiding it anymore. There's no sense of me denying it anymore. Denial is a very, very strong thing. And again, it can keep you from living a happy life. And that's all what we all want, isn't it? Isn't that what we want? I want a happy life, but sometimes that doesn't happen, but that's okay, because no one ever said it was going to be happy the whole time, because I guess we wouldn't know what happy was unless there was some downtime. So, again, admitting to God and to ourselves, again, admitting it to ourselves can be difficult. There's a lot of things that I had done in my life that, I had, just let go and go and go and go, and saying to myself, well, that really didn't happen, or this happened because of that, or it was because I was drunk, or it was, there was a million excuses why, when all I really needed to do was say that, I did you wrong, and I apologize, and I hope that you can forgive me. And that's all you can really do. And if the person accepts your apology and is willing to forgive you, then you can start to repair that broken relationship. Or, sometimes when you lose a job, maybe you really don't want to go back there. Maybe they don't want you back, but you can learn, you can repair, that part in your life or in the way you behave over time. And, maybe that won't happen the next time. Maybe it will. Maybe it's, you just have to keep going. I guess we have to, break some eggs, to make an omelet. I think that's how it goes. Or you have to, kiss a couple of toads before you get to the prince or the princess. Well, so I think jobs can be like that too. But, and to another human being, which a good idea for you is to find a buddy within AA, somebody who's sober, somebody that you can identify with, and someone that you can, that you can sit down together and, go over those things and say, I this time I did this with my, my best friend's boyfriend, or I did this with my best friend's girlfriend, or, I stole this from somebody, or I passed a bad check or something like that. And you can talk about those things. And when you admit them to God and to yourself and to other people, it's like a cleansing thing. You're like getting it out. Instead of holding all those things in, you just get rid of them by admitting them. You look at it and you say it was a stupid thing to do, and I did this wrong thing. But I'm a human being, and we're bound to do those things. And again, alcohol compounds those things. Just makes it easier because you lose your conscience when you're drunk, and you don't have to wake up till the next day. But going through this and the exact natures of our wrong, not half of it, all of it. Look at the problem, because it's no big deal, and it's in what you've done. Millions of other people have done in this world and throughout history have done some pretty bad things, and God knows about them all. So you can tell him, but he already knows. But what you're saying to him is, I recognize this. I recognize this fault within myself, and I know that you are the only one that can remove it. You're the only one that can make it better, because what I've decided to do with it hasn't really worked out. So, again, try to find a buddy. Try to find somebody like a sponsor, somebody that you can call at night. When things get terrible, things get awful, you can pick up the phone. The person is, it's you talk to this person and say, are you willing to be my sponsor? Because if somebody says yes, they're going to be there for you when you need them. So if you have to call them at 4:00 in the morning and say, I just woke up with, and I just feel terrible, and I just, this is when I'd usually go for a drink, and then sit there and talk to you for 20 minutes on the phone until you feel better. There's people out there that will do that for you. You have to find somebody that's willing to do that. And they are out there, people that are willing to dedicate themselves to helping you to stay sober. So buddies are good, especially ones that have commonality, because if you're trying to buddy up to the person that you were drinking with, they're not going to listen to you, because, you might even find that they don't even want to be friends with you anymore. And I know that stinks, but I found that out too, is that I thought I had a lot of friends. And I had a lot of associations through drink is what I found out. I had a lot of people that were not really my friend. They were somebody that I could drink with because we all drank stupidly. We all drank to the point of getting hammered, So, you got to drink with people drink with those that drink like them, because social drinkers don't want to hang out with the heavy hitters. Only the heavy hitters are able to hang out with each other, because you're all so stiff, nobody really cares. And nobody's really looking. So it's very important. We talked about it in past episodes about breaking the cycles of your life. Your plan is, I'm not going to Smitty's Pub this weekend. That's not a real place, but it may be. But I'm not going there this weekend. I'm going to an AA meeting Friday night. And then I'm going to go out and hang out with people that are looking to get sober, looking to improve their lives. Because you might be the only one in the group of people that you hang around with that drinks like you do, or that gets drunk or has a problem. Those other 5 people in your group of friends may drink, and drink, quote unquote, normally, have 1 or 2 drinks an hour and stop at a certain point where people like me and you just keep going. I would get to the point where I'd start drinking, and I'd have 4 or 5 beers, and oh boy, I would be on this moving sidewalk to wherever, and then it took over my life. And if you're one of those people, if you can admit it to yourself and to look at it and say, I'm one of those people that has too much, and my life always ends up in a wreck. I can't get up for work anymore. I can't maintain my life. I can't be a functioning human being because I'm just thinking about when my next drink will be. The charge I used to get from it, it was like, excitement. It was like Christmas, That's how I felt about it. That's what I look forward to. And you know what? But the payoff isn't worth, it just got to the point where I even hated the drink. It wasn't the hangovers and the arrests and nobody wanted to talk to me and the isolation. It was the drink itself. I would just be so darn drunk. I'd just be crazy drunk, and saying, who drank all my beers last night? I had a case of beer. Well, idiot, it was you, because nobody else was here but you, because the spiders weren't drinking it, the mice weren't drinking it, you were. And I didn't have no buddies. I didn't have any buddies. I started going to AA, and, when I finally got to the end of the train wreck, when you assess the train wreck, you learn how to fix it. I went to AA, shaking like a leaf, and I found a new way to live. I found new friends, real friends, because those friends that you hang out that drink normally, they very well may stay